the amount of account opening, per day has spiked, right? So if you just, whether it was in this product or any other sort of digital bank or robo-advisor we've seen this year, tremendous success in account opening. So it's just really hard to keep up the pace if you had any sort of like manual review or, to I think Simeon's point earlier, are you letting everybody in and then phasing them out over time? These strategies become sort of like paramount and put a lot of pressure on the organization. So if there was anything that was manual, you're now probably really having a queue and not able to hit your objectives.
If we think about why some of these problems are here, then it's really quite a profound educational and cultural exercise for the next generation to kind of deal with it. And I think to a degree we're reaping what we've sown in the internet for the last couple of generations, really, where if you look at account opening, which for me is a really obvious one, where a lot of really straightforward, low friction checks can really help an awful lot of organizations, not just fintech, just any kind of e-commerce business at all. And I think one of the problems with it is it's not ingrained in our internet DNA. Most of us, or people younger than me even, are used to social networking and email and just all these technologies which are ultimately either pseudonyms or AKA friendly. They're just profoundly non-secure in their absolute nature. And that anonymous, Twitter, probably the best example, that anonymous ability to contribute or play a part on the internet is really quite ingrained. And so actually creating a sort of identity process that consumers expect within the internet feels to me like a really long-term challenge. And anyone in the fintech banking space is going to ultimately suffer for that, because they've got to do a lot of learning for the customers. So I think low friction account opening type opportunities, rather than obviously the very serious fraud questions need looking at as well, but actually just making the internet a more trusted place for lots of people via secure account opening, I think is where there could be a real kind of revolution in terms of quality of service on the internet. And I think things like open banking can really help drive that, because it becomes apparently necessary to everyone who's using it. Whereas if you're on Twitter, you don't really accept that everyone's who they say they are. You're just willing that there's a lot of nonsense and people pretending to be other people.
So yes, opening an account shouldn't be like opening a Twitter account, and we're not used to that. So the friction is, having designed a product, I know, at the forefront of it, right? We want the funnel to be as easy as possible, the flow to go, and that's a really, really difficult problem to solve when we really have to perhaps educate people in a very different way.
So because we initiate payments, we're enabled to initiate a bank-to-bank transfer where we can do a domestic, a one-off payment, a scheduled payment, a standing order, or a foreign exchange payment. But those are all payments that are done within a bank account. So all we do is initiate them. We don't execute the payments. The payments are being executed by the bank. And so from a KYC AML perspective, actually we don't have to KYC AML our own customers, because they've already been KYC'd in AML in the bank which we are connecting to. And therefore, they are an account holder there. And all we're doing is asking for permission to initiate a payment on their behalf. And obviously, they need to approve that. So it sort of toes the line between whether you're opening an account and the identity around that account versus the actions that you can take within that account. And we're a big believer that actually what we're doing is building innovation on top of the banking infrastructure and doing things that the banks could potentially do, but generally aren't doing.
Moving forwards, it's a composition of awareness and education that perhaps, yes, opening accounts and going through an authentication process is necessary, although it embeds friction. There is one has to be aware of the positive effects that reduces fraud and what that means for you as a person or for the company. And I think there's more work to be done on that. And then, of course, is understanding also the end consumer. So we have been working on creating a personal financial management app the past year, and we found out that it's pretty hard to onboard customers who have different vulnerabilities, especially that are not that tech savvy or maybe has some disability. And these people, although the tech is great, and there are still things that have to be added on. There are more things that have to be included, like thinking about how the journey and the account can be open to facilitate for those people who have, for example, some type of disability, or who are visually impaired, or have some hearing impairment, and the structure of the code to embed voice to text and all of that. So I think it's taking a step back and seeing actually these type of services and technology, and to reduce fraud